Have you ever walked into someone's home and immediately felt something was off? Maybe it was the way they greeted you, distant, distracted, or overly polite. Or perhaps it was the energy in the room, heavy, unwelcoming, like you were more of a burden than a guest. As we grow older, something changes, not just in our bodies, but in our awareness. We begin to value peace over politeness, authenticity over obligation, and meaningful connection over empty company. And here's the truth many won't say out loud. Not every home deserves your presence, no matter how free your calendar is. In today's video, we're going to explore 7 types of homes that older adults should avoid visiting. Not out of bitterness or pride, but as an act of self-respect and emotional preservation. Because protecting your peace at this stage of life is just as vital as protecting your physical health. This isn't about burning bridges or cutting ties. It's about understanding where your energy thrives and where it quietly withers. It's about recognizing that not every invitation deserves an RSVP, and not every relationship needs to be kept on life support just because it's family. If you've ever left someone's house feeling emotionally drained or spiritually depleted, this video is for you. Stay with me until the end, because the final type of home we'll discuss might just surprise you. It could even change the way you navigate your relationships from this point forward. And if you're ready to start choosing peace over pressure, let's begin. 1. The home where you are not genuinely welcome. Let's be honest. There's a kind of silence you feel, not here, when you walk into a house where you're not truly wanted. The smiles are tight, the greetings feel rehearsed, and the warmth you hoped for never really shows up. It's not always blatant, but it's unmistakable. Maybe you've experienced it. You ring the doorbell, and the host opens the door with a strained grin, eyes darting to the clock. You sit down, try to make conversation, but it feels like you're interrupting something. They don't ask how you've been. They don't lean in to listen. You're just there. At this stage in life, your presence should never feel like a chore to others. You've walked through decades, raised families, paid dues, weathered storms, and your time is not something to be handed out carelessly. In the past, we may have brushed off these signs out of politeness, thinking, well, maybe they're just busy. But now, with limited time and energy, we don't need to make excuses for indifference. We deserve to be around people who are glad we showed up, not people who are counting the minutes until we leave. And here's the key. You don't need to argue, explain, or justify walking away from a space where you're not welcomed with open arms. Just quietly, peacefully choose better for yourself next time. A genuinely welcoming home doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a warm hug, an open seat, or someone looking you in the eye and saying, "I'm really glad you're here." So if you ever leave someone's home feeling more invisible than when you arrived, that's your answer. From now on, let's choose to spend our precious time in spaces where we are seen, heard, and celebrated, not merely tolerated. 2. The home where drama and negativity rule. You know the feeling. You step into someone's home, and instead of a warm welcome, you're met with tension you can almost taste in the air. Voices are raised, sarcasm hangs like fog, and the atmosphere feels more like a battleground than a place of peace. It doesn't take long before your shoulders tighten and your smile starts to fade. Some households thrive on conflict. There's always an argument brewing, someone complaining, someone snapping, and someone stirring the pot. And no matter how hard you try to stay neutral or bring calm, the environment swallows you whole. As we get older, our emotional well-being becomes non-negotiable. We've already lived through decades of stress, change, and challenge. The last thing we need is to voluntarily walk into chaos, even if it wears the mask of family or familiarity. You don't have to absorb someone else's dysfunction just because you're invited into their home. Whether it's endless gossip, passive-aggressive tension, or explosive tempers, a toxic atmosphere chips away at your peace of mind, sometimes even days after the visit ends. And here's the hard truth. It's not your job to fix it. Not every home is your responsibility, and not every person wants harmony, even if you offer it. Sometimes people are addicted to negativity because that's all they know. But you have a choice now. You've earned the right to say, "This doesn't serve me anymore." You can politely decline the next invitation or limit your visits without guilt. That's not being cold, it's being wise. Instead, spend your time in homes where laughter comes easily, where conversations lift your spirit, and where the energy feeds you, not drains you. Life is too short and too precious for drama-filled doorsteps. You deserve calm, you deserve joy, and most of all, you deserve a space where peace isn't the exception, but the rule. 3. The home where you are only needed, not valued. Have you ever noticed that certain people only call when they want something? You haven't heard from them in months, but suddenly there's a last-minute babysitting need, a ride across town, or a favor that just can't wait. And once the task is done, silence again, until the next need arises. It's a sad truth. Some homes welcome you in, not for who you are, but for what you can do. You're appreciated only when there's a to-do list attached to your visit. But when you're the one in need of a listening ear, a warm meal, or just some honest companionship, no one seems to be available. For older adults, this dynamic can feel especially hurtful. After a lifetime of giving, raising kids, supporting family, helping friends, being treated like a utility instead of a human being stings deeply. It's more than unfair, it's dehumanizing. Relationships should never be one-sided transactions. Love and care are not measured by how often you're needed, but by how sincerely you're valued. When you're only invited into a home because someone needs help moving furniture or solving a problem, it's time to step back and ask, am I being respected or just used? Let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with helping people. Generosity is a beautiful thing, but if your presence is only welcome when there's a task attached to it, that's not a relationship. That's a convenience. You deserve better. From now on, pay attention to patterns. Do they check in on you just because? Do they ever ask how you're feeling without a hidden agenda? If not, it's time to set gentle but firm boundaries. Surround yourself with people who value your presence, not your productivity. The best homes are the ones that welcome you with love, not a list. You've given enough. Now it's time to receive genuine care in return. 4. The home that makes you feel like a burden. Sometimes it's not what's said out loud. It's the tone, the body language, the uncomfortable silences that speak volumes. You walk through the door and catch that flicker in their expression. It's subtle. A sigh, a glance at the clock, a tight smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Suddenly, you feel like you've overstayed your welcome before you've even taken off your coat. This is the home where your presence feels like an obligation, not a joy. You try to engage, but their responses are clipped. They fidget or multitask as you speak. You sense their mind is elsewhere, already calculating how long they have to endure the visit. And that leaves you wondering, why did I even come? Let's be clear, you are not a burden. The years you've lived, the wisdom you carry, and the love you offer are gifts, not inconveniences. Yet in some homes, you're made to feel like a disruption rather than a welcome guest. And that feeling cuts deeper the older we get, because we don't just want time with people, we want quality time. You don't need a red carpet or a grand gesture to feel welcome. Just a genuine smile, an unhurried conversation, or someone asking, "Can I get you something?" is enough to say, you matter here. But if you're constantly walking into spaces that leave you feeling invisible, rushed, or unwanted, it's okay to stop showing up. You're not abandoning anyone. You're choosing to honor your worth. The truth is, real connection can't be faked, and no one should ever have to beg for kindness, time, or attention. You deserve to be around people who light up when you arrive, not people who look relieved when you leave. So from now on, trust how you feel in those first few moments. If it doesn't feel like home, it's not your place to stay. 5. The home where you are disrespected. There's a particular sting that comes with being disrespected, especially when it happens in a place where you expected warmth. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's in the small gestures, being interrupted mid-sentence, having your opinion brushed aside, or sensing that your presence is merely tolerated rather than honored. As older adults, we bring a lifetime of experience, resilience, and hard-earned wisdom. We've navigated challenges, raised families, and helped build the very world others now stand on. Yet in some homes, all of that is ignored, as if age somehow equals irrelevance. Disrespect can wear many disguises. Maybe someone mocks your slower pace, talks over you in conversations, or dismisses your stories as old news. Sometimes it's more subtle, eye rolls, impatience, or being left out of important discussions altogether. And let's be clear, respect isn't about ego. It's about dignity. It's about being seen, heard, and treated as someone who still matters. No one should ever feel small, silenced, or invisible just because a few more candles are on their birthday cake. You don't owe your presence to anyone who continually disrespects you. Age doesn't make you less. It makes you more valuable, more insightful, more deserving of kindness and consideration. If a home makes you feel like you're constantly defending your worth, it's okay to walk away. You're not being oversensitive. You're being self-respecting. Look for the places where your stories are welcomed, where your advice is appreciated, and where your presence brings light, not eye rolls. Because you should be around people who listen with care, who wait for you to finish a thought, and who recognize the richness of all you've lived through. You've earned your respect. Don't settle for less, especially in a home where you once hoped to feel safe. 6. The home that is toxic for your mental health. Not all harm is loud. Some of the most damaging places are the ones that quietly drain your spirit without a single raised voice. You walk in, and something just feels off. Like the air is heavier, the light dimmer, even if everything looks normal on the surface. That's not your imagination. That's your intuition. Certain homes are toxic not because of what happens, but because of how they feel. You may find yourself walking on eggshells, carefully choosing your words, avoiding certain topics, or preparing for emotional landmines. Maybe it's the passive-aggressive comments, the unspoken resentment, or the way people talk about each other instead of to each other. The result? You leave feeling emotionally exhausted, like you've just run a marathon without moving an inch. At this stage of life, your mental health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You've earned the right to protect your peace like you would protect your physical safety. And just like you wouldn't stay in a home filled with mold or broken wiring, you shouldn't stay in one that poisons your emotional well-being. Here's the thing, a toxic home doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it's quiet, but cold. Conversations are shallow, connection is absent, and your presence goes unnoticed unless you say the wrong thing. That quiet stress adds up over time, creating anxiety, sadness, or even physical symptoms. But you don't have to keep showing up. You don't have to push through it or pretend everything's fine just to keep the peace. Real peace starts by choosing spaces where you can breathe deeply and be fully yourself. If a home leaves you feeling worse than when you arrived, take note and take care of yourself. You deserve to spend your remaining years in environments that lift you up, not tear you down from the inside out. 7. The home that no longer aligns with your growth. As we age, our priorities shift. We no longer crave noise for the sake of company or chaos disguised as excitement. What once seemed thrilling now feels draining. And sometimes the places we once loved, homes filled with familiar faces and shared history, start to feel misaligned. You may find yourself sitting in a room where conversations revolve around shallow gossip, old grudges, or unhealthy habits. Maybe the people around you haven't changed in decades, not just in age, but in mindset. Meanwhile, you've grown. You think deeper, live slower, and seek peace over pressure. But the problem is, not everyone around you is growing with you. Some homes are stuck in old patterns. The same arguments, the same small talk, the same outdated roles you've tried to outgrow. And being in that environment feels like stepping back into a version of yourself that you've worked hard to evolve beyond. This doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It simply means you're different now. Your soul is craving deeper connection, more meaningful dialogue, and environments that reflect who you are today, not who you used to be. You have every right to outgrow a space. You don't owe loyalty to familiarity when it comes at the cost of your peace or progress. If a home no longer supports your emotional or spiritual growth, it's okay to step away. Not with anger, but with clarity. You're not turning your back on people. You're simply turning toward the life you've earned, the one that fits your values, energy, and direction. Growth means choosing relationships and spaces that encourage the person you're becoming, not just the one you've always been. So if you're evolving and a certain place or group isn't evolving with you, take that as a sign. Life has seasons, and it's okay to walk into the next one with intention. As we get older, the most valuable resource we have isn't money or possessions. It's time. And where you spend your time, who you spend it with, and how those moments make you feel, that's everything. What we've explored today isn't about cutting people off or turning our backs on family. It's about honoring the life we've built, the peace we've earned, and the wisdom we've gained. Not every door that's open is worth walking through. Not every invitation needs an RSVP. And not every relationship deserves to travel with us into the next chapter. It takes courage to step away from places that no longer align with who we are becoming. But it's also one of the most freeing choices we can make. You're not being difficult, you're being discerning. And that discernment protects your emotional health, your dignity, and your joy. So here's what I encourage you to take away from today's message. Your peace matters. Your presence is valuable. And your time should be spent in homes and hearts that reflect that. If something in this video resonated with you, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share one thing you've decided to let go of, or one place you've chosen not to return to, because your well-being comes first. And if you found value here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It helps us continue sharing meaningful conversations with those who need them most. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. I hope you walk forward with clarity, confidence, and the freedom to choose where and with whom you belong. Until next time, stay well, stay true, and stay peaceful.